child from the turf. I never switch sides, like even when I die, I'ma ride for the squad. Let her ties in the hearse. I've been on the vibe, kinda hard to describe. I'm in between, I'm good and it's fine, but I'm tired of the grind. Then I come alive in the night to realize I'm in the middle of the time of my life. I'm never so packed for the stack, never lied on the rap. Got a bag from the way that I write it. Queen looking Tyson, do that ass the vibe, doing 80 to the house. Then I hit it to the sky, change haters on a tirade. Talking to their crib in the face, be still, let that hate stuff fade. We all want the same, we all want a meal in the safe. I wanna live like I'm trying to reach enlightenment. Trail spill from my lips, feel bent from the bib. Take a sip till I pass out. Try and get grit, but it don't make sense, cause you can lose life on this fast route. Yeah, turn thoughts to a cash cow. I might flip that to the glass house. I don't need the accolades, I'm in love with the chase. I just wanna eat, save a spot at the table. Beast with the slap, hit myself on the map. You long with the wind, but we knowing that it's cap. 5-hour flights, couple nights at the flat. To be real, couldn't see me making moves while I'm at. I'm still on the grind, limit time when I chat. I'm burning down sage, keep the demons away. When I write it, give a piece of myself to the page. I don't do it for the praise, love, that's just how I'm made.
See the truth in the glass in the mirror.
Yeah.
Do it at me, old man, tryna pass in the fear. You're the first one to talk, but the last one to hear. Eyes blurry, but I couldn't see that, and he cleared down. Start to feel like I'm on one. Settle in, I'll be here for the long run. I'm a slave for the cash, got snakes in the grass, no brakes on the ad, but it's all fun. We done seen it all, heard it all. Heard enough, give me space before I murder y'all. 10 bad here, I'ma curve them all. 12 missed calls, and I still made a curtain call. Here to light it up, lighten up. Hear him talking, they ain't right enough, tighten up. Everything that I came for, I left with. I don't bang sets, I just bang on the set list. Going past supper when I came for the breakfast. Put me in your prayers, I might put you on the guest list. Young, to me reckless. Gold in my soul, got the same on my necklace.
Light it up, light it up. Light it up, light it up. Well, well. Oh, light it up, light it up. Oh, light it up, light it up. Well, well.
Like It or Not starts now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth.
And not care who doesn't like it.
All right, good.
Let me get my seat adjusted and then your microphone, switch that microphone, and we ready to rock. How you doing this morning, Rebecca?
My microphone is low, or is yours?
Well, you know, I don't know if mine is low.
Plugged in now. I see what you said. I'm
There you
plugged
go.
in now. Good morning and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth.
And I care who doesn't like it. That's more like it. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm actually looking at, because I put the camera closer to me, so now it got me a little taller than you. So
Yeah, well, you know, you're taller than me anyway, but you're not that much taller than me.
Yeah.
You know, so now I gotta let me scoot a little closer so I don't look so.
and I'm sitting on a high chair. I'm sitting on the high chair.
Me too. You know, Becca, I've just realized that at my ripe old age of 42, how tiny of a person I really am.
You know what? Look, see, and I had to just realize at my young and beautiful, black don't crack, beautiful age of 32, which I'm turning 33 next week, by the way. But I just realized how damn tall I am. Like, I know and it's crazy because my height is 5'7", right? Barely, but my
No, because funny, I tell people that I'm 5'7", but if you're 5'7", I'm every bit of 5'6" and a half. But when you put on those 6-inch and 12-inch stilettos that you used to wear to work, then like,
and that's crazy. I just walking through people's yard with them shoes on. That's why my back hurt today. But listen, I would stand and I would look at myself and I'm like, geez, I'm like 5'6" and some change, but I'm 5'7" basically. So when I put on heels, I'm like 6 foot. That's how I feel. But it's my legs. It is my legs. I am literally, God built me no ass, no hips. I am nothing but legs. So honestly, that is the first thing that people see. So, and I like to wear shorts. And so every time that like that's my uniform. And every time people see me, they'll just be like, geez, how tall are you? Wow, you're an Amazon. Wow, wow,
Mm.
wow. And it's just my legs that give the illusion. Some people are not blessed with other features, but I got a pretty face too, so it works out for me. No ass, but a beautiful face. What Martin said, he said she suffered from Nasatol.
Oh, wait. We said Martin. I'm like
Martin Lawrence.
Dr. Martin Luther King.
No, not not. Don't you start this morning. No, Martin Luther King, man. I said Martin Lawrence, the great Martin Lawrence, who went by Martin Payne on the show Martin.
I just didn't know where the conversation was going at that
That's
point.
so funny. She
Oh my
suffers
goodness.
from no Nasatol. It was like, what's that, bruh? No ass at all. But God made me beautiful. Anyways, but I said to say,
Shout out to
the tall
DJ
ladies.
DJ Exclusive who could be with us today.
Shout out to he's on the trip.
He's on the
So definitely give him some love, you guys. He's headed out because one thing about him, he gonna be like, I'm inside all the time, but he's outside. He's outside. But it's good to see that he is outside. Speaking of people being outside, I heard that they ended COVID.
That I think that is an amazing place to start, Rebecca, because the World Health Organization is saying that the pandemic is the global emergency is officially over.
And there's so much that goes into that, but we'll just read the facts and then we'll go into the conversation. So okay, COVID is no longer a global public health emergency. Of course, the WHO, World Health Organization, said, and this was just yesterday. So the WHO issued the declaration more than 3 years ago on January 30th, 2020. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom said that he made the decision following a recommendation from the WHO's Emergency Committee, which met on Thursday for the 15th time, saying, I have accepted the advice. Like basically, finally, they got me. It is therefore with great hope that I declare COVID-19 over, with great hope, not certainty, not fact, but with hope that I declare COVID-19 over as a global health emergency. The WHO's designation of a public health emergency of international concern is reserved for the most serious disease outbreaks. The organization has assigned the label to 7 outbreaks since 2007, including monkeypox, COVID, Zika, H1N1 flu, polio, and Ebola. Dang, I remember all these, which has twice been designated an emergency. Globally, COVID deaths have fallen steadily over the last 3 months. From more than 41,000 weekly deaths at the start of January to around 3,500 on April 24th. So
still a lot of people dying.
It's a lot of people dying, and I feel like the numbers aren't properly being documented. Yeah. And so here we are, because how do we go from January to that many? It's what changed. What are we doing? Because a lot of the nurses that I speak with are still saying the hospitals are full, but with COVID patients. But at the same time, we do have to get to a place where I feel like we got to start moving forward. But I don't want to walk in a false sense of protection. And I want to make sure that even though because we've been doing that, right? We've been trying to get our lives together. And I understand not walking in fear. I understand trying to get back out the house and get our lives to something, because it's never going to go back to what it was. We can move forward in something different. But I also think, Ben, that they're using this as an excuse, right? As immediately the day before, I got an email at my corporate job stating, hey, y'all, all them perks and stuff y'all was getting from COVID, done.
It's over.
Yep. They literally sent us an email. Yep. Done. Don't call us and say you have COVID. You can't take moments off because of COVID. Because you feel like you were exposed to COVID, a family member has COVID. We don't care. We're no longer going to send you any tests. We're no longer going to do any of this, the stuff. Somebody wrote a lot of people are saying, oh, y'all done took the shot for no reason. I'm going to stick to my natural meds. And it's not about that. We were at a time when the world didn't know what the hell was going on. Literally, the world didn't know what the hell was going on. And you think I'm about to listen to you? I am Haitian. We had our little herbs on the side, our little teas and stuff like that. But also, in order for me, when they allowed us to start traveling to go see family for the first
Mhm,
time, I had to
mhm.
be vaccinated. I had like, so sweetie, there are a lot of things that go into that. But I say that to say, I just, I mean, is it over?
No, listen. But in a way, we have to move forward like it's over. I say this as a person who was, if you go, and Rebecca, I don't have to tell you, you know how COVID adverse I was, how diligent I was protecting my family, and how completely just thrown off by the fact that we live in a timeline. Our society is one that has completely rejected truth, objective reality. They rejected science. They are rejecting vaccines. We even had a relapse in polio in this country because of all of the anti-vaxxers. It's so bad now that we have Robert Kennedy Jr., whose father, Robert Kennedy Sr., was assassinated. But we got left with this guy who has targeted the Black community specifically with COVID misinformation, trying
Mm-hmm.
to ensure that we would not get vaccinated. And so now we're 3 years into this pandemic, and the people who are winning the conversation in the media, they're the anti-vaxxers. They're the
Mm-hmm.
people who are insisting that this pandemic wasn't real. Meanwhile, the hospitals are still filling up. The morgues are still filling up.
Mm-hmm.
The graveyards have 2-week delays still because so many bodies. So no, COVID's not over. But at the same time, it's like there's the people who are working against us. They don't mind going out into the pandemic and exposing themselves and doing whatever they got to do to push the negative agenda that they're pushing. And so people like me, I've had to just, I have not throw caution to the wind, but I'm honestly just out here trusting God when I go out to these places, like all these school board meetings I've been going to, church services. I honestly be like, you know what? It's so crazy. I can't even control it anymore. Like we can't protect ourselves because there's so many people who refuse to put on masks and they refuse to protect anybody else. So it's just a really insane time in American history. But no, to answer your question, the pandemic is far from over.
Yeah. So with all that you said, I agree with 100% of it, right? We do have to move forward in a way. It's never going to be like it was. Now when we go out, it's like touching doors. When we may not be wearing our mask, but it's like washing our hands when we come inside the house, being mindful of the person that sneezed, like literally the person
Don't
that
sneeze too
sneezed.
much.
You're back in the cubicle farms, which I call those corporate offices, those cubicle farms, and
Mm.
somebody's just like, "Shoo!"
No, not today.
Oh, I feel
Not
like I'm
today,
coming
devil.
down with a cold, and you like, yeah, COVID. But that's how we are right now. And also we have to understand. I feel like what they want us to do, and they did this. They're doing this with COVID the same way they done with the influx of diversity and inclusion after the death of the murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. In that same moment, right? What they're doing is they want us to forget it. It was a fad. Remember, we were going through that. They were discriminating against us when we needed assistance and help. Remember that? And then we were the people were outside saying Black lives don't matter. We
Yeah.
were protesting. We were putting
Yep.
our lives on the line. There was so much of that. And then all of a sudden, all of these Black like departments were opening up at these big corporations. Everybody
Mhm.
was getting jobs remote. The Twitter, remember with the former leader at Twitter, y'all don't ever have to come back. It was
Oh,
it be stuff like this. I gotta tell me what we can't be in serious conversations and we put him on. So David, let us know before he comes on, okay? So but and I believe that's Bubba.
no, all I heard was I just heard noise on the
The
road,
car,
which I
somebody on
think
the
it was,
road.
yeah, yeah.
It's Bubba.
But finish your thought though.
Hello, hello.
Hey,
How y'all doing this morning? Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone.
good morning, Bubba.
CJ
How you
exclusive.
doing?
Sound like you were dead smack on the road.
I literally am driving. I'm just listening to the conversation about COVID. And sorry to interrupt, Rebecca. How y'all doing this morning? Being
Doing
Rebecca.
good, man. Good to see you,
Doing
bro.
good.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment real quick with the whole COVID situation. COVID is not ending because the fear of people catching the virus anymore. I think it's one of those things where it's ending because it's a money grab. I really think it's all about money. That's
Mm-hmm.
all it is. And at this point, though, Ben, I feel what you're saying. You're putting your faith in God. Same here. But I think there's so much other stuff going on now in the world, that mass shootings every other day, that I think I'm scared of going out more for a mass shooting than fear of COVID now.
Mm.
And I think that is the state of America these days.
Mm. Facts.
I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that. And as I was saying, it was like they we have all of these things that happened at the same time for us. Mass shootings. Not only was it mass shootings, we had police murders, but you know, police harassment, police abuse. In the same time, we were at the back of the line when it came to possible assistance for COVID. We
That's
were
right.
at the back of the line, and I'm talking about we Black folks. So we're scared to go places because Black folks are being targeted, or people are, it's so much that we were going through in one time, in
Yeah.
one moment, in one time. Housing crisis.
Still right now.
Yeah, people were homeless, people still didn't get their jobs. And now, as I was saying, all these corporate, during that time, it's a fad, right? During that time, they wanted to make it seem like we were all divided, even though we were trying to come together. They wanted to make it seem like we were all divided. We were against white people were against us, and things like that, just because we were holding people accountable. All of the sudden, these big corporations that never really gave a damn about the rights of Black people for real, except for on a small, you know, level of, hey, you know, Black Lives Matter, then make sure you put that flag up in the middle of the lobby or something like that. They created these departments to make sure that Black people were heard at these jobs. The Black issues were heard. The pay was equal. All of this stuff, huge. Like, they were putting more than one person in the diversity and inclusion department. People actually were the head of these things. As we saw, we're coming into the third year of COVID, or coming out of the third year of COVID.
Mm.
All of that has now gone away.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, all of these big corporations have now moved that away. We're back to normal. It was like it was just for that moment. And so I think with COVID too, it's like, okay, we want to make people feel protected in this moment. We want to make people, and that was during the height of COVID. But now it's like, yeah, like Bubba said, it's not only with the fear, but it was a money grab at a time. It was, they were, that's also a thing during the, remember, it was like free vaccines were now being charged God knows how much to other
About
countries.
$100 a pop.
Like, it's crazy. And
Yeah.
then going to get checked and everything, going to get COVID testing was supposed to be free. Now people were setting up shop immediately and getting paid so much money to do so.
Yeah.
All of it was a money grab, and probably still is. But now it's like, let's move on from it.
But you know
But
what?
how can we move on from three? Sorry, Ben. How can we move on from 3 years ago when this just happened? There you got. We
Yeah.
lost people. The
2
world was
million.
a wild time.
Yeah.
We did. How are we recovering? Just like, we are not mentally okay. We're scared to go into the
And,
grocery store. We're scared for somebody
and
to sneeze next to us. We are afraid that somebody's going to gun, like a police officer is going to pull us over and just gun us down. This was what COVID did to us. This is what the pandemic did to us. We can't just wake up and be like, oh, it's over, so it's over. Life is back to normal. It doesn't work like that.
right,
Yeah.
Becca. And Becca, I will say, and then I'm gonna jump off, y'all. Becca, you said a word right there, and everything is right. And I think right now, I can speak for myself, and I'm sure plenty others. I feel less protected now than what I did before the start of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right
I agree.
there. Yeah, me too. We have healing to do. I'm not saying don't, because remember, during that time, y'all seen us unraveling on this on our shows, trying to get
Yes.
back and be like, we all right, how are you? we were Jekyll and Hyde. So it was a scary time. We weren't okay, but we had to start getting ourselves mentally out of that to be
Mhm.
okay, right?
Mhm.
Not saying that we are
But
fully okay, but there's work to do. Go ahead, Ben.
it's even worse though for what you're saying is 100% correct, but it's worse because we're having to move forward as if everything is okay when things are actually way worse than it was before COVID, like James said, because we're
Mm-hmm.
dealing with people who are now trying to make it seem, I put it like this. They're actively going after people who are still wearing masks. They being conservatives,
I
Republicans,
forgot
they
about
are
that.
actively attacking people who wear masks to this day. Now, there's some people, look, I'm one of them, but there's a lot of folks who if they got COVID, it would have just completely devastated their body because of what a pre-existing conditions or immunocompromised or some type of injury, and they don't have the full lung capacity. Whatever the reason is, there's still people, if they get COVID today, it is a death sentence. And so when we see people wearing masks, that's because they probably have cancer. They have something that they need to protect themselves from. But we are living in the time where they are actively going after, mocking them, ridiculing them, just alienating them just because they want to make a point that COVID wasn't real. They want to make a point that the vaccine wasn't effective. They want to make all these ridiculous points, and it's causing people to die, right? There are still people dying every day from this pandemic. So it's and I say that, Rebecca, because you said like we're trying to get our mental health together, but it's like we're having to get our mental health together when we're living in a world full of sociopathic, insane, crazy conservatives who are actually trying to make this as bad as they possibly can. And they did a good job, right? We have almost 2 million people dead in this country from COVID-19, but now we're pretending like it's over. So congratulations, Republicans. You did good.
And that's it. And even Democrats, the people who
Yep.
were wavering in that time. And this is where I started to understand and see for the first time that just because you're on a side that's supposedly supposed to represent a liberal view and protection for all and a more progressive view and all of that good stuff doesn't mean anything. I saw right there how capitalism worked through politics, no matter which side that you represented. I seen when people stood silent on many different issues that affected us. I seen so much of that. And this is on what I sound like, what's his name? But this is both sides. This is all of it. And I said, this is where we got to start understanding who we're putting in these seats, who says that they're going to help us, what these talking points look like, because I can't understand why this was not just 10 years ago. I'm talking, we just got in the third year. And I'm trying to really wrap my mind around everybody wanting to act like there wasn't just mass graves. Remember when they could not bury people, they were putting them on top of each other and just calling it a day. Remember when people were just dying in the hallways?
Talk to a funeral home director. Talk to a funeral home director right now. They are backlogged with so many bodies. It takes about 2 weeks. It used to take about 7 days to somebody dies and you could get them in the ground. They're backed up twice, 2 weeks because of the bodies that are still piling up.
So it's almost like how they want to just say, yeah, that happened, but we've moved on. Yes, but we need healing. So we need to move on in a way that makes sense, acknowledge what happened, and so that we are mindful, not just act like let's go back to normal, putting ourselves at risk and things like that. Long COVID is actually a thing. People have long effects from having COVID-19. People still can't breathe right. People mental. I don't know if that sense of loneliness, that we would get up, we were drunks, we were not okay. I need people to understand we can't just get up and act like it never happened. It might circle the block. I go to the grocery store, I gotta make sure I put one in my ear so I can pay attention. I remember the other day I was in the grocery store, and this is all happening during COVID-19, y'all. I went to the grocery store and something fell just the other day. Something fell. And I got so scared immediately. I just immediately thought, let me look for somewhere to hide. Let me look for the exits. Let me make sure nobody's following me. Strange time that they expect us to be like. That message, Ben, from who is basically saying like, yeah, COVID's over. And you know what the Democrats are going to do? I'm not Democrats. Well, they might do it too. But the conservatives will be like, let's focus on something else. Like seriously, if who said COVID is over, I mean, why are we still discussing it? Who is it affecting?
They're trying to send Anthony Fauci to jail for trying to prevent COVID from killing as many people as they did, right? They're actively attacking the schools. They just got rid of Dr. Diana Green, the superintendent in Jacksonville, in Duval County, and it all stems from the fact that she made her district wear masks. Okay, they are punishing people all over this country because they did things to protect. They're attacking families who protected their children. So we've gone from crazy to just sheer absurdity. Like it's like a movie, really. If you really slow down and think about it, this is as bad of a plot as you would get in a movie, you wouldn't really expect human beings to act as wild as we've acted, as this system has acted during COVID-19.
Yeah. Yeah. So many people were affected mentally, physically, so much. And I just don't like the way. And the reason why, yes, the who can say that it's over, right?
Hmm.
But it's how it's going to be. The narrative is going to be pushed out there. Like
Yeah,
somebody can be like, I still don't feel comfortable in with my anxiety in spaces. They're gonna be like, the who said
it's
COVID is
over.
over. You're being so dramatic.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, this person is suffering from losing somebody within the last 3 years from COVID.
Yeah. And how many kids have been orphaned because of COVID-19? Like we don't even talk about that. The uptick in how many kids lost their parents and now have nobody but this system to take care of them. Like we really have lost. You're absolutely right, Rebecca. We have lived through
Yeah.
something. We're still living through something that is tremendously traumatic, and everyone is telling us, "Oh, just go to Hooters. Everything's
Yeah.
fine."
Oh yeah. And that's where my problem lies. That's why I'm like, okay, the who it's not about us trying to move forward. We do have to, you guys. It's just a way of life, right? There's so many other things that have happened in the world and we've had to move forward. The trauma. We need to go sit on
Yeah.
somebody's couch as a collective. However, um, it's what I know, the misinformation. If Tucker Carlson had a seat at the
Mm,
Fox table right now, we know
yeah.
what that looked like. The WHO says COVID is over. So why are people making it seem like COVID is still here?
Mm,
It's gonna be a whole thing. You know what I mean? So that's where I am with it. I know what they've done. You reminded me of when it first came out, the mask with people in their F-150s doing Papa Willies in the air, pulling up to hospitals, preventing nurses to go in and do their job, doctors to go in and
yep.
do their job because they were upset that people were wearing masks.
Wearing mask, wearing mask, wearing mask. The lowest. Okay, you didn't want to get the vaccine. Fine, that's your right. That's your prerogative. But you're so selfish. This world, this country, so selfish that they couldn't wear masks, and they instead let 6 million people die worldwide and 2 million here in the United States die. Hmm.
Yep.
Pro life, pro life, my butt.
I am I don't know that that's just how I feel about it. I'm afraid. I'm afraid for the next thing to happen and we treat it just how we've been treating everything else. I'm at a point where I just want to live my life, but be mindful that this was something that just happened. Like, have grace on ourselves and not just act
Yeah,
like nothing happened.
yeah.
So that's my spiel on that one. Uh, the listen, I know you out there in Jacksonville. I know that every story is usually a Florida man.
Mm,
Well, this time we had something come out this week of a Georgia man,
mm,
um,
yeah.
and it has to do with shooting, which has become like one of the most normal news stories to cover. After this was, I believe, on Wednesday, after nearly an 8-hour chaotic manhunt, authorities captured the man accusing of opening fire in a Midtown Atlanta medical building on Wednesday and killing a 38-year-old woman and wounding 4 others. The suspected gunman is 24-year-old Dion Patterson. He went inside Northside Medical Midtown just before noon and shot the first victim shortly after. Atlanta Police Deputy Chief Charles Hampton said the suspect used a handgun in the attack before fleeing on foot and hijacking a vehicle nearby. And which is they ended up catching him. But the slain woman was Amy, excuse me, St. Pierre, the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office shared, and she worked for the Atlanta-based Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The ages of the women who were wounded in the shooting range from 25 to 71. They were sent to a nearby Atlanta hospital. And so here is a few of the things that we picked up on when the story was breaking. Basically, he is a vet who went in for meds. His mother went in with him, and she was asking to have him switched over because the meds that he was on wasn't really working. And so I guess the conversation went with that they couldn't because they were worried that it would have an adverse effect on him. And the mother was a nurse and that whole thing. And he snapped. He snapped and
Mm,
shot up people. And it was a
mm.
manhunt. So they consider, I think, 4 or more of a shooting a mass
Mass shooting.
mass
Yeah.
shooting. So this was a mass shooting. And Yep, for hours he was on the road. They caught him in Cobb County,
Oh Lord.
and yeah, they got him in Cobb County. And I just want to say a few things. I know that this is what I wanted to like. This is just along the lines of sharing news stories and misinformation and things of that sort. The people who grab on again, if we had Tucker Carlson at the table on Fox News, this conversation would have been. It's less about guns
Hmm.
and more about vets or people who are insane. Why? Like, are we not
Mental health.
focused on, yeah, mental health? They will switch it. They don't want to focus on mental health here, but then they want to focus on mental health here. They don't want to focus on black people here, but then they want to focus on it right here. This is where it gets a little sticky. And what immediately what I saw was he was a crazy guy. Clearly, are we not focused on the people that died? No. Yes, to the people that died. We need to focus on that. They did not deserve to be shot. They didn't deserve that woman didn't deserve Amy St. Pierre did not deserve to not be here
Yeah,
today.
yeah. It's hmm. And then like the very next day before this, before I almost think even before they captured this guy, there was another mass shooting right there in Georgia.
Mhm.
But it goes to exactly what you said. Matter of fact, you and I have been covering these stories so long that um, we gave up on it because of how often we repeated the same thing over and over again. Every time there was a mass shooting, we would be on air and then we would find ourselves saying the same thing over and over again. It's the guns. When are they going to do something? They don't care about young people, pro-life, my ass, whatever but then the next mass shooting came and then we had to say the same thing over again because this country is so committed to guns that they don't care how many children are killed. And so this is why and not just children, but adults are killed. This is why we have anxiety about
Mhm.
going in public. This is why when something fell in the grocery store, you immediately started looking for a place to hide. That's because they are so frequent in this country and we still aren't doing anything about it.
Yep. And this is where it gets a little, people, they don't want to focus on those things. They're going to immediately, what I saw online, so many people were running with, it's not about the guns, it's not about the guns, not about the guns. And then I thought about the vets, and again, this should have never happened. What he did was wrong. I want to put that right there, lay that out as the foundation. But this man needed help. Vets don't get much help and assistance. They're not heard. And this is what we saw. Medical people who have mental health issues
Mm.
should be taken serious. Also, people who have mental health issues should not have access to guns. Gun laws are so fickle and lenient and things like that, that this can happen. And the people want to focus on, he's a psycho, he's a this, he's a that. Why did a man who clearly has mental health issues have access to gun?
Because Republicans make sure that that's possible. They're so committed to these guns that they will allow them to get into the hands of criminals or people who have mental health issues because it's so important to them to be able to carry guns without registering them, carry guns without permits, carry guns, without licenses. They just believe in these. They worship guns. They
Yeah.
they bow down and worship these guns.
Yep. And this is where we're at now. But this situation that just happened yesterday, this is another thing, Ben. Just like with all the things I labeled, they want us to act like it didn't happen yesterday
Mm-hmm.
or the other day. This was just a few days ago. Right before that, there was something else that happened. A young boy was shot for pulling up to go get his kid, to get his siblings. And right before that, but we are just going through a day to day, like just another day, another shooting, another
Mm.
day, another shooting, then another day, another shooting, and what they're like, it's not the guns, it's the people. It's the laws, honey. It's the laws. I know there are a few states have now put into effect laws that won't allow you to use assault rifles or semi-automatics or something like that. They've banned them from their states. I mean, that's a start, but Georgia, Florida, Texas, it's almost like they want to get as loose as possible
Yeah,
until we're all shooting each other up. And they're
that's right.
still gonna say it is not the guns. It's not the like what's like it's not the guns. Meanwhile, people are sending out postcards and threatening people on social media with pictures of their guns. I seen the algorithm allow white people to just post their whole families with guns, and black people to do the same, and their pages get reported and police pull up to their house. There is an agenda here. And if you tell me there is not, your mom. Because there is surely an agenda here. And we need to stay focused on pushing our leaders, our legislators, our lawmakers to having the conversation about guns. Is now a good time to discuss guns? Because the woman that was over the NRA who made sure that all of these types of stories, Nikki Haley, that made sure all of these types of stories that came out she would give her thoughts and prayers. You remember, Ben? We would do these stories and she would give her thoughts and prayers as the head of the NRA and make sure that she stated how great guns were, how guns were never the problem. Now she's running for president. And this is where we are with that. So it looks like we lost Ben. Have we lost Ben, David? Okay, fine. We'll wait for Ben to get back. But y'all, this is what I want to talk about. These mass shootings happen so often. And here in Atlanta, there's so many other things that we can get into. They want to talk about how it focus on mental health. We should be talking about mental health. Mental health is a great issue, a grave issue here. Vets, amongst vets as well. This is a conversation, but the stigma that they wanted to associate in this case was, it was a vet, like a disgruntled vet. He was 24 years old. He is 24 years old. A disgruntled vet who was just off his meds and It was all of that. But no, guns are an issue. We should not be having issues where people are walking into facilities and who are documented where they do not have they have a mental health issue and they have access to guns. It should not be like that. More people would be safe. And so that's all I got to say about that one. And to everybody who was affected, I had friends who were on the phone with me who were in the area who called me, or I called them to check up on them, and they were afraid. They were in lockdown in that moment. Another friend of mine stated those were peers that were shot who he sat next to every day for work. America does not care about people. America does not care about us losing people. America doesn't really care about mental health. They don't care about vets. They care about guns.
Facts.
Yep. They care about guns. So
there was and David, I dropped a link before I got disconnected. There's a link of a state senator, I believe, and I want to make sure I got it right. There's a Texas state senator who spoke out about this, about how many kids we are allowing to get killed, but not just how many kids we're allowing to get killed. I just dropped it in Slack, David. I thought I sent it earlier, but not just how many kids we allow to get killed, but how our political leaders, they're literally playing games. While they have the power to pass legislation that would prevent kids from getting killed, they're in Congress on the national level as well as on the state levels, allowing this to continue to happen while they play games. So when I say that things are really way worse than what we can actually describe, I mean, what does it say when we have so many kids getting killed on a regular basis, but our political leaders are literally out here playing games, playing rhetorical games, scapegoating the LGBTQIA community, making everything about grooming when our kids are being shot in the streets every day? Play that clip when you get a chance, David, if you have it.
Children are dying, and we need to protect them. And stop with this partisan BS, because we're not doing anything. We're hurting every Texan when we don't legislate properly, because you're blowing me off because I don't have an R by my name. It is time to legislate. Children have died in this state, and you guys are sitting here joking and playing and thinking this is a joke. This is not a joke. This is real. Children every day are dying. And we said we got to protect guns, but we haven't done a thing to protect children.
Wow.
At some point, put aside your partisan stuff and legislate properly. And if you want to legislate for your community, legislate for your community. But don't come legislate in my community, because I know what my community needs. I would never go to your community and tell you what's best for you. But I'm going to tell you what's best for my constituents, because I talk to them every single day. I had to sit there and watch those families cry their eyes out because they lost their children. The only way they can identify their children was by the clothing that they know they put on that morning.
Mr. Johnson, please confine your remarks to the amendment.
Please confine your remarks to that. Was Jarvis Johnson of Texas, the Democrat from Texas. But these are the games that they're playing.
That makes me so sad, because just hearing, but Ben, remember, we just saw, what mass murder was it? It was just like a month ago, less than a month ago, and it was a friend to the show. I forget his name, and he just got to Congress, and he was in the middle of the lobby yelling and going off. I forget his name, but he was going off, and
he's been on the show before.
He's been on the show before. And he was Jason, and he was going. You don't remember? Is his name Jason?
Help me out. What state? You remember what state? It'll come to you. Don't worry about it.
It'll come to me. But anyways, I say this to say he was going off, and everybody was upset. Some people were upset, saying he was being ghetto and da da da. And nah, he was so upset that children. It was during the mass shooting at a school about a month ago. And he was saying we need to do something. All of these leaders who are trying to who feel something passionate in this time about just and then the two, was it the two Joshes or Jasons out of Tennessee too? The two
Justins out of Tennessee.
Yeah, out of Justin, them two as well for the same thing. This was just not even a whole month, y'all.
That's right. Not even a whole month since what happened in Tennessee. Not even.
They don't care. And no matter how much we are feeling and screaming and saying this, Ben, we can go back to our original, like it or not, monologues that we were writing up. And then sometimes our lives where we were just feeling it in the moment, because right then and there, another shooting was happening live.
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. That's when we were covering.
Many.
Yeah.
We would be passionate about what we were saying only to believe that something would change.
2008. So that's been 5. We have, you and I have together as a team, as a duo, we've been covering mass shootings since 2018. That's 5 years that we've been covering it. And every time, and I know you covered it before by yourself. I covered it before that by myself. So for years, we have been, actually, we can go all the way back to Columbine. We have let this country devolve into schools becoming shooting ranges. You know what they're requiring in some states? Now they're requiring or offering teachers extra pay if they'll go and get basically combat field training for a medic. In other words, they want teachers to be able to stuff gauze into bullet wounds so that children have a better chance of surviving in case of a mass shooting at their schools. So we're training our teachers to be field medics.
Yep. And Ben, arm the teachers. Arm the teachers. More guns is always the answer. Arm the teachers solves the problem. Mass shootings at the school, sure. Teacher's gonna make sure at least about 10 kids.
Oh, Jamal Bowman. Jamal Bowman. Yes,
Jamal
yes,
Bowman.
he has been on the show and he was going off in public. Yes.
And that's about these mass murders.
That's right. That's right.
And they wanted to call him ghetto, out of line, out of control. If children are being murdered, people are.
How are you supposed to act? How are you supposed to act?
But if children are being murdered, what you supposed to do? You know what? Just another day, another kid. Listen to what I just said. Did that not just make you feel uncomfortable? Arm the teachers. Let's give them bulletproof backpacks, which sold out. Capitalize on the murder of kids.
That's right. Just like they capitalize on COVID-19. Capitalism is evil, y'all. I try my best to lay off, because I am a socialist in my heart. But capitalism is so evil that they have sold out bulletproof backpacks for children to survive mass shootings at schools because we're so committed to the gun manufacturers that we wouldn't dare touch their profits. Yeah. Anyway, this is why I don't really cover mass shootings that much. It's almost impossible to not cover them because they're happening twice a day. But it takes us to a place where it's like we shouldn't even be on the show talking right now. We need to be in the streets.
Yeah, no, and fighting. But then it's like, what I'm saying is we're looking at our leaders who we finally got in these seats, right?
And they ain't doing nothing.
And it's making, well, no, the ones that are, they're mentally screwed. Like they're screaming like, are you serious about the law that I drew up or the proposal that I drew up? You want me, you kicked me out of my seat because I decided to fight for something? Man, Ben, see, it's raising my blood pressure.
Oh, I'm zen. I have been meditating since 3 this morning. I can't let this stuff take me to the place this takes me. So you better go outside and run when you're done with this day show.
I am. I'm trying to make sure we keep it nice and keep it tight because if I'm gonna lose every hair on my hairline that's already, like Vegeta in them. But I'm gonna lose every piece that I got left, and I'm not trying to do that. Something else that made me a little bit on edge this week, Ben, and if you could leave the story because I actually was just getting into the story, and that's Jordan Neely. Out of New York on the subway, young man who was strangled or to death. But you can give us more on that.
Yeah, most everyone has seen now the video or at least photos of this white man, former Marine, and we know him as a former Marine. I will later on disclose his name and talk to you guys about how it was found because I want to give a shout out to one of our comrades who put in the work to find out who this former Marine was that choked and strangled Jordan Neely, a 30-year-old black man, homeless, unhoused black man who got onto a train in New York City, upset, distraught, in a mental health episode, but because of the fact that he was hungry and did not have a place to stay, he got on the train and made an announcement about he was hungry and did not have a place to stay and how angry he was about it. And these white guys, one of them actually kind of had some brown skin, but we don't have that person's name either. We don't have any of their names because the police did not arrest anyone. This man strangled 30-year-old Jordan Neely on the train in front of everyone. We have video, we have footage. He held him down for 15 minutes in a chokehold, ultimately killing the 30-year-old man. And now we are the same thing, Rebecca. You see this every time we cover a story of a black person being killed. We see that there is a concerted effort to assassinate the character of the victim. And so we are going through that this week in particular. They have released all of the mental health, all of the medical records on this young man who died. But we couldn't get the name of the killer until one of our comrades went and did the investigation and asked and finally found out this guy's name. So that's the gist of what's going on. There's a protest in New York today at 2:00 for anyone who's in the area to go out. You can see it, the flyer on my timeline. But people are rallying around the country because of how absurd this killing is. And we are at the stage, I'll turn it to you, Rebecca, but we're at the stage in America in the decline of our humanity, where you have so-called Christians justifying the murder of a hungry, homeless, unhoused individual. And that's not the surprising part because they've done it every time that there's a black person who's killed. They try to assassinate the character. Remember what they did to Trayvon Martin. Remember what they did to Michael Brown. Remember what they did to George Floyd. They do it to every single person who's killed. And so we're trying to get justice, but the police haven't even released the name of the killer.
And that's for protection. That's always what it is. And that's when we kind of can get an idea what the killer's skin color was if you didn't even see the video, which I chose not to really focus on. I just saw screenshots. But because it just heightens my anxiety, my stress, my blood pressure. You know, hearing about this young man and knowing that he was homeless. I used to live in New York, and I know, you know, when people get on the subways, that's what they do. I jumped a turnstile a million times, and that is all that people were like. He's been arrested so many times. He's problematic, right? I have been stopped by police, NYPD, for jumping the turnstile so many times, and that's back when it was like $2.50. And of course, it has since gone up, but people now being arrested and uh, having a record or something just because of jumping the turnstile is a wild thing. But that's all they had on this young man who would get. If you are from New York, the city, and you knew, but when you would get on the train, somebody gonna be dancing. They're gonna be trying to make it. They're gonna try to make their money, and that was his craft. And he was very talented at doing the Michael Jackson impersonations. It was entertainment for some folks, especially if you don't like it, mind your business. Especially people who suffer from mental health, who are homeless in a city like New York. This ain't nothing new. For you to, and this is a former Marine, put your hands on this young man, murder him, and you get assistance by other people to do it, and still be walking around free, no charges brought against you. My heart breaks for his family, and I'm talking about Neely. Him not being able to just be seen or heard, but they thought that the answer for whatever bothered him, that person, that former Marine, thought the answer for whatever bothered them was to murder this young man. And the fact that the world, the nation, NYC thought it's okay. We'll investigate. To me, says everything I need. Like, I need to know, because if it's already on video, if people already are in outrage about something that's going on, you have more proof to go ahead and do what you need to do and investigate during that time. You guys do that with Black folks every single day. But Black lives do not matter. I know it's kind of cliche to say that now, right? It's overused, but it's facts. If the roles were reversed here, we would know so much information about the murderer, where he lived, where he stayed, probably would be already in jail by now. We would know more about mental health issues. The focus would be somebody who's mentally ill should not have been touched or murdered. Then that would be, a consensus. But people are saying he was like, why do they do that on the train anyway? It's so much, but the focus should, there's no justice. And I want to see justice for this young man. Another person that should be here. Another person that should be here. And that's that on that. We're going to see how this story continues to develop. There is outrage all over the nation due to this murder. We want to know who the person is. We want to know where they came from. The person who did the murder. We want to know. Well, it looks like we have that. So let's take a look. Go ahead, David, roll it. All right. It is Daniel Penny from West Islip, New York. And as Ben was saying, they have done, people on social media have done their due diligence and found out who exactly it was and who the police and the media are trying to protect. And here he is. This is who murdered Jordan Neely. Once again, this is the former Marine, and his name is, go up a little bit more. His name is Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny.
And sorry, well, anyway, the page that you're looking at right now, that's the person who found it, Scarlet Red on Twitter. She put out a call, or I'm not sure, but they put out a call, and to their followers saying somebody in New York knows who this person is. And she had 5 different people reach out to her to confirm that they all went to high school with this individual, and they're the ones who provided the yearbook photo, et cetera, et cetera. So she pieced it together. And I sat on it for about a day before I shared the information because I wanted to see if there was any additional confirmation. And so far, there hasn't been any official confirmation from any major media outlet, but that should tell you what's wrong in this situation as well, because there were major media outlets who had this guy's entire military record, which means they knew his name.
Yeah.
So the media companies like the New York Times, like the Daily Post, they had the name of this guy because they knew he was a Marine. They had his record, but they chose not to share it. They protected him, but they released the medical information for Jordan Neely.
You see what I'm saying? And so why was the first thing that people needed to know about Jordan Neely was that he was and they want to say he's a bum that comes on the subways, and we know how they can get. Bums can be aggressive, and it's the conversation that was online was disgusting, Ben. It was disgusting. This young man lost his life, and the whole world seen it on a video that was posted. We seen the man's face, but they had to go and find the information that would hold Jordan Neely accountable, that we would focus on as far as him being homeless, being on a subway, having mental health issues, and not this former Marine who felt like he was on damn duty because he felt bothered or disturbed on the subway. This man from Long Island, whose information we can get in 2 seconds, especially police officers. But an investigation had to be done. And if you ask me why, it's because white privilege. We always see how the media protects the murderer when the murderer looks a certain kind of way. And they will villainize, right? Vilify the murdered, especially when they're Black. So that's that. Ben is back. Bring him on in.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's your internet. It's his internet. It's his internet. And that's all right. Because I really want Ben here for our last story though. And justice for Jordan Neely. Justice for Jordan Neely all over the world. And I want that. I want that 100%. Listen, these stories are gonna come and go because I hate to say it, y'all. Next week it'll be something else. Okay? A mass shooting, somebody else getting murdered, us acting like it ain't ever happened. It's just what the world is doing. But I want us to take a moment for real, to slow down, focus on what's happening. Don't forget that we want the justice for these people. We want the conversations to be surrounded by mental health, not in a way to abuse it and to use it only in favor of a party that's going to weaponize it.
Yeah.
We want to discuss these things until something happens. We need to do that. Guns are the problem. People with mental health issues should be taken serious. And all of these talking points and doing nothing is problematic in leadership. Yeah. That's where I'm at with it, Ben.
I don't know. Am I frozen? Can you see me?
I can see you.
Okay. Am I moving?
You're moving.
Okay, because my side is frozen. I have no idea what's going on today, but we'll get that figured out after the show for next week. But I don't have too much more to add to this except for the fact that there are so many Black conservatives right now who are having a hard time. They're one of two things. They're either completely selling the rest of whatever soul they had left. Fox News had its Black host on there, and David, I don't know if you have that clip. And this Black man host was basically doing the work of Tucker Carlson, attacking the character and the person of Jordan Neely. And then you have another set of Black conservatives, because not all Black conservatives are just horrible. Some are just confused. There's some Black conservatives who are online trying to defend and cry out for justice, and they're finding out all of their white supporters who loved them the day before now hate them because, well, they're racist and they don't want Jordan Neely to get any support, to get any justice.
Did we lose him? Looks like we lost him again. Dang. David, if you have that video, could you pull that up while we try to figure out what's going on with Ben? Give us a few moments here, guys. But thank you so much for Okay, so while David is doing that, it looks like we are gonna have to end a little bit early. Oh no, this is when we're supposed to end anyway. But there's so many good talking points that we have or conversations that we have. You guys, if you are loving the Saturday shows, I need y'all to drop some lions in the chat for me. I'm actually looking at y'all right now. If you are loving these Saturday episodes, I need you guys to drop some lions in the chat. For everybody just tuning in, run this episode back. We had some great conversations happening on today, which included the end of COVID, which included the mass murder that happened here in Atlanta, as well as the conversation that we are having right now about Jordan Neely, the young man who was murdered by a former Marine on a subway in New York City. So looks like we are getting some lions in the chat. All right, I'm loving it too. I love getting up with you guys on one Saturday morning. So if you guys love it, continue to support us. If you are not a Patreon or a patron, you can definitely become one to support the show, to support what we need to do to get Ben better internet so we can definitely keep the show rolling, especially when we're going and we are flowing. Head over to patreon.com/like it or not. Patreon.com/like it or not. Also, you guys, I am turning 33, calling that the Jesus age. I'm turning 33 years old, and all I want, and that's just this following weekend. So next week I will be turning 33, and you guys, my only gift that I ask is for you guys to support the show. We need your support. We need your financial support. We need your financial backing. We need the crowdfunding to go ahead and continue on this show. Now, honestly, that would be the greatest gift for me. My Cash App is Becca's Voice. It is Becca's Voice. DJ X3C is not here, but that is DJ X3C on Cash App as well. You guys, if you love me, please head over there and bless your girl. That's Becca's Voice. And once again, become a patron. Patreon.com/like it or not. Everybody who's in the chat, Laura, I saw you. I see all you guys in here. Sharon, Corin, DJ X, he's still in here. Tyler, you always giving love and happy birthday to you, my fellow Taurus, who's a April Taurus. A few more shouts out. Melanie, I think I seen Struth in here. Mary C. It's everybody is in here, and I love it. You guys were really supporting, and I want you guys to continue. We're gonna get Ben back up and running, but in the meantime, it is Saturday. I want you guys to get out there, put the letter hack. Don't forget. I saw you too. If you guys don't forget to make sure you make it a good day for yourself, whatever it is that you need to do. I know today may have been some heavy news, but I love getting up with you guys in the morning, and I love you. Mean it. It is Mental Health Month. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I want you guys to take care of your mind. I want you guys to take care of your body. I want you guys to take care of you. Love you. Mean it. I'll see you guys sometime this week, possibly, or next Saturday. In the meantime, be blessed.
I stay and just repeat it now. Yeah, oh, we dream about all things being alright, but we freeze when it's all up to us. So let's fight it, make a stand and try it. Everything will matter from now on. Let's fight it, there's no way to hide it, 'cause everything will matter from now on, 'cause it's high time. Are we dreaming?